All right, hello. We're gonna be doing something a little bit different. We're gonna be doing an actual video and kind of see how this all works out, see how this all looks and sounds and all that stuff. Um, I am going to be today is actually going to be a little bit of a different type of a podcast episode. It's actually a concept that I randomly at work one day I kind of like thought of, or um these questions started going through my head on certain things. I know we can walk through some of that stuff before we get into it. The concept is basically 3D printing alloys, but not just 3D printing alloys and like metals and that kind of stuff, but being able to 3D print like electrical systems and structures within the metal itself. So let me pull up real quick. There's this. This is what I typed out. Um, and kind of like a brief little thing. This is, I don't know how many months ago, quite a few months ago. But basically, what is this? I believe the future of electrical systems and structures will be 3D printed, meaning you can hide wiring and any sort of energy transporting within the structure itself with no air being needed. This means you can have a stronger structure with the same, if not better, wiring, making the circuitry not able to be damaged if the main structure or alloy is strong enough. So basically, uh, in my mind, is like let's say vehicles. You take like a vehicle like door, like the door panel, and there's all this structure and all this electrical systems going through it, and there's all this different stuff, which the actual metal there is actually very thin. And yes, they've done a whole bunch of stuff to make it more safe and all that stuff, but when in reality, when you look back to like the older vehicles, the ones that are like steel and like much heavier, those vehicles, when it comes to safety, like you can run into those vehicles with like anything. A deer can run out and you hit it, and like really it's not going to dent the vehicle that much. So with doing stuff like this would be able to have that type of safety and durability, along with having the electrical systems and the technology that we have now, but all within it. Um, which I think would be super crazy to see. And I don't know. I have this deep feeling that this is the future. And part of this comes from I don't remember what it was exactly, but this was, like I said, probably 6 months ago or something, when I was at work, and I was listening to a podcast and talks of, alien craft and aliens and UFOs and whatever stuff. Um, but outside of that, it was them talking about walking through the system of uh the craft itself, of people talking about how it seems like like it's 3D printed, that it's all smooth, that it's all there's no like joints, there's no cracks, there's no anything. It's just all like nice smooth surfaces of where it's basically 3D printed. And so then I started thinking, I was like, okay, well, what if that is real and that they were actually able to do this 3D printing of some sort of an alloy or some sort of a, something that we don't have. And I started kind of walking through it in my head a little bit, and kind of going through whatever, and thinking about how things could change if we would figure this out. And like with none of the like alloys or metals or whatever that we have now, I don't think is like necessarily capable. I think there might be some that would be like you could maybe do, but it wouldn't be. You need it to be incredibly strong and just incredibly durable, to where if you have something hit the outside, that it won't dent the internal structure, which would be like the wiring and like the electrical systems. Or if you even wanted to do like fiber optics through it, that kind of a deal. So yeah, walking through all that stuff. So the wiring though that's through it, this is the interesting thing. So as you're 3D printing, let's say you're 3D printing and you're going layer by layer, which means that you can go in and you can kind of pick where you'd want the wiring throughout. And it would be it would be hard because normally a lot of these 3D printers are all basically 3D printing one specific like using one alloy or one resin or whatever. This would mean that you'd have to have multiple like alloys and materials that can be 3D printed all using like the same machine. And because the way that I envision it is basically being able to go through 3D print the metal, like the alloy, which is the actual like the durability, the structure of it all. And then you would go in and you would do, some sort of a copper, gold, whatever for electrical circuitry to go through. And I went through, I didn't do too much research onto it, but I did just a little bit. So I said, making the wiring from a superconductive alloy that can transfer high amounts of energy through a 40 micron by 40 micron wire. This makes it invisible to the human eye, but able to power devices and pieces of the structure with efficiency and less space needed. So this would be like the way that I would see how they did the, like a craft of some sort of, you don't see any circuitry, you don't see anything because it's all actually built within. And like right now we use copper, gold, silver, etc. We need to find something or make some sort of an alloy that's even more conductive and make sure it is something that we can create somewhat easily, so then you can use it for everything basically. It needs to be readily available if this will take over what we know today. The cooling of it, because with any sort of electrical system, with any sort of power or energy being pushed through something, especially through a metal, there's going to be heat involved. And with there being heat, you need it to be able to go somewhere. Otherwise, the structure itself will just heat up hotter and hotter and hotter the further you go, which would not be good. So you could do, basically, if you're already going to be 3D printing this whole thing, doing some sort of vent system with like insulation and basically like almost like a heat sink, where you're able to disperse the heat out of whatever the structure is. So let me go through. You can 3D print an insulator around the conductive alloy, making sure it is truly the most efficient it can be, keeping all energy contained where it's meant to be. With this, you can have a thermal conductive alloy also connected throughout, allowing the wiring to let heat out, like a built-in radiator that forces the heat outward, allowing there to not be overheating problems as a failsafe. This will also allow the main structure alloy to not become hot to the touch as well. And a part of this is also many options here. So with the cooling, with the heat stuff, you could use the heat to go into other things. You could use it for other purposes to make it to where it's this like perfect circle of just everything helps each other make more, do more, be stronger, whatever. So that you could use the heat in some areas to do something else within the same structure. But also you need to have it to be the failsafe, because if the metal gets too hot, it can mess up the electrical systems as well that's within, and that would just not be good. Also, because the fact that it's 3D printed, there's no real good way as of right now to be able to go in and like redo something that's within this structure, because it's 3D printed. It's all one piece. There's no, take these bolts out and get to it. What can this change? I see that it can change a lot. This could easily take over the entire industry for aircraft, vehicles, or really any sort of transportation. This can also change how we think of computers, structures, just about everything that has wiring or circuitry. Being able to make things smaller or thinner and allowing less repair if done correctly. If we do this project as a way of making human existence better and not for greater control, this could be monumental. Imagine a car door that doesn't need the wiring within a door panel, but have it all built in, having invisible buttons for windows, doors, etc., making sure the main alloy is used is strong enough for things to not be damaged in crashes. Could mean for even better safety. Like I said before, is that if all the circuitry is all built within and it's all at such a high grade that you don't really have to worry about like things failing, things going wrong, things being damaged from crashes, from whatever happens, that it just kind of is all within. And I don't know, I see that it could easily be the future if we can figure out the main things that basically without the alloys, without that stuff, we can't really do this. And also learning how to maybe 3D print alloys and that stuff at a higher level than what we do now. Because as of right now, we can do it with like some easier alloys, with basically just like melting and doing it that way, where you heat up a very small area and you just basically just 3D print in that way, instead of using resin or instead of using like any of that stuff. Anyways, an add-on that I have along with the electrical structure, imagine using an AI to monitor and detect problems that's within. So you have sensors, you have an AI that's basically connected to this nervous system of the structure. AI would be able to recognize overheating, outages, and could possibly be able to fix some things from the inside that we cannot do. Think of allowing AI into the electrical system, nervous system of these structures and or vehicles. Yes, this could be scary if the AI isn't stable and could be used for bad. That is only if we allow the wrong people to build the AI. I believe as it advances, it will get all corruption out, and will be an overall good for the world and humanity. Of course, that is looking at it through rose-colored glasses. But I do think that as we are as humans, I think throughout time, there's always been bad. There's always been horrible things that have happened in down times and being on the brink of destruction. But for whatever reason, humans always come out the other end just fine and even better, if in some ways. So could this set us back at some point? Yes, it could. But also, I do think, like, imagine what you could do if you had a structure, basically all 3D printed, super, super durable, super just well done, super clean, and you're basically able to then use an AI that you just basically be like, hey, it's just like nonstop monitoring everything, all these different areas of the wiring, of the heat, of the energy going through it, and it can tell us something's wrong, and it could possibly be able to go in with some like micro little basically micro tools in a sense, and be able to do it itself, to be able to fix little tears or little issues within, with like insulation or wiring or whatever. And I just think that, like, in my head, I can see a world where this becomes reality, in a world where these crazy things that maybe we've only ever thought of, that have been like sci-fi stuff, can actually become just reality and like normal day-to-day stuff. Like how, I mean, with a phone, how you go back 40 years ago, and like a phone at all, like this at all, the amount of power that's through that. Like, I don't know exactly the year that like the first ever just like phone in general was like more conventional to like normal customers. But when you get to like iPhones, on one thing, like iPhones can do so many things now, and we back in the day, like, thinking of that would be basically impossible, being like, how would you ever get all of this stuff, all this power, all this whatever, that basically here's the computer and it's an entire like giant room, and now we're going to be putting all of this even stronger into something that can be in your hand. And thinking about it that way is just wild to me. But I don't know. It's very interesting to me to see and like just challenge my brain. This is like the entire reason for this podcast, is to think of unique things, challenge your brain, try to think outside the box a little bit. You have to be a little bit careful with like certain things and everything, but ask questions, walk through things that, are big questions in the world. Do not take any of your thoughts or your opinions or anything and just like hold on to that forever. Be willing to change it, be willing to look at like some new facts or new things that are coming out about whatever it is. It really is an interesting time to be alive, to say the least, in 2026. So many things are going on. Things are moving so fast. Like I remember like 10 years ago when I graduated high school, things seemed like at that point things were like seemed pretty like, yeah, things were moving, but it wasn't like AI. It wasn't like everything that's going on now is just so crazy, so fast, so and it's so like monumental. Like all these things could change so many things in the world, with jobs, with education, with all this stuff. And I think that as bad as AI could be, I think that AI used in the correct ways could really push us in the right way very fast and very far. Using it as a tool and not as at least as of right now, using AI as a tool is super nice, of learning things, of looking into stuff, of just asking questions, and like running through almost like thought experiments. It's really fun to just like challenge your brain to do that stuff. Anyways, I'm rambling on the same thing, but I'm actually going to pull up one other. Loud noises. Loud noises. Hold up. Okay. And now I'm going to pull up another file quick. Can I make this full screen? What if we just another PDF? That'll work. Okay. Now, boom. All right. So this is another topic that I thought of that we're gonna run through super quick. It's nothing like it's a very huge topic, but in the sense that I want to like talk through it, not gonna be anything too crazy. So it's going to be, why does the feeling of time fluctuate depending on our mood or emotional state? So what made me think of this was, once again, me at work, and how like some days, if I'm in a good mood, the day flies by. Like no matter what's going on, if things are breaking, if things are not working properly, like if I'm just in a good mood, the day goes by so fast. Versus if I just wake up not really in a great mood, just kind of like like the day just tends to drag on and it seems like time just slows down. And so it made me just kind of like make this question. I will say I did not do the research. I have a friend that was interested to buy it, and so then went through and looked into it a little bit. So that's where this comes from. But time as a concept is elastic, meaning that depending on what we are experiencing, it can feel as though it is stretching or shrinking. The brain has the ability to adjust temporal perception, the subjective psychological experience of the passage of time and duration of events, and nothing warps time better than emotion. In moments of extreme duress or frustration, it can make time feel as though it is at a standstill, but when you experience something that we enjoy, or when we are working towards a goal, it can feel as though time flew by. When people are experiencing positive emotions or states, they feel like time is moving faster than when they experience negative feelings. But new, as of 2012, research indicates that not all positive states are considered equal. Peace or a feeling of serenity, while positive, doesn't elicit feelings of a motivation to achieve a goal, whereas desire and excitement are very high in what is called approach motivation, which means you are more likely to feel like you want to accomplish something. And what I get from that is basically like, if you have a goal, if you have something that you're focused on, that you're like really motivated about or having like passion for, time will fly by. Time will basically just like in a snap of a finger, boom, like hours go by. Versus if you're just like relaxed, chill, peace, you know, that feeling of serenity, um, time might not fly as fast. Um, but in my mind, that would probably be more like the neutral, like the base state of like the base speed that it should be going through. So, well, yeah, of course, then if you are in a bad mood, if you're just irritated and annoyed and just angry or sad, then like time's going to just slow down so much. And something that just went through my mind, like, never even thought about this. What if that is on purpose because of the fact that when you're in these low states, when you're in these negative down states, you want time to go to by slower, so then you know, in a sense, you have more time to work through it, to get through it fast, in a way, in a sense, faster. Because if time was moving really fast and you were in this down state and time was flying by, then you're just wasting all this time. Versus when you're in this down state, time slows down. It gives you a little bit more like, okay, let's work through this, get through this in a less time sense of like, so then you can get back to something that you're passionate about or something that's in a better mood, something that pushes you and humanity or things further, faster. Anyways, it is hypothesized that time feels as though it moves quicker when you're experiencing those emotional states that elicit that drive to accomplish a task or achieve a goal. Philip Gable and Brian Poole of the University of Alabama. So like, yeah, that makes sense. Is that the drive of the accomplish of a task or achieve a goal will make time feel as if it is moving faster because you're nonstop working on pushing towards that goal. It's like, I feel like if you'd be, you know, running a race or something, and it's like that last like few miles would probably fly by way faster because you have that goal right in front of you. You're almost there. You can see it. And so then it'll probably move faster than versus like if you were in the middle of it where it's like, oh, I still have like, you know, 15 miles to go for like a marathon or something. And it's like, oh, I have still 15 miles. Kind of like slows down a little bit, but then you get to like a little bit closer and you're like, oh, I have that goal. I have that motivation, that task that's like right in front of me and I can see the end. So then time will go by faster. It becomes a lot easier. You almost get more energy in that way. To test this theory, they conducted a series of experiments that determined how participants perceived time when they were presented with different visual stimuli. When presented with images of geometric shapes or flowers, the participants indicated that those images were shown longer than those of deserts. While there was nothing wrong with the images or shapes or flowers, they did not elicit the feelings of approach motivation because there was not a goal to work towards. In later experiments, they were shown images that evoked highly unpleasant emotions, which can make people more alert and attentive. Tasks or experiences that are high in approach motivation makes us look more outward on what we are trying to accomplish instead of inward on the seconds ticking by. Although we tend to believe that time flies when we're having a good time, these studies indicate what it is about enjoyable time that causes it to go by more quickly. It seems that to be the goal, pursuit, or achievement-directed action we're engaged in that matters. Just being content or satisfied may not make time fly, but being excited or actively pursuing a desired object can or objective can. Which in my mind makes complete sense. Is the moment that you feel, I guess, bored, the moment that you feel just kind of like, oh, there's not really much going on, that's when we tend to move inward, and we're looking at ourselves and we're asking questions about ourselves, or we, traumas and different things can come up and can make things kind of drag out a little bit more. You start thinking about the little things that might be bothering you or any of that stuff. And I don't know. To me, it makes a lot of sense that when there's a goal in front of you, you have something that you can actually work towards, and you have, it's almost like a reward at the end. That's going to make time go by much quicker. You're going to have that passion for it. You're going to want to achieve whatever it is. Now, I don't know. This is always something that was super. I don't know. As I was sitting down, I was thinking about for podcast wise, for just questions that I've had, trying to go through the memory bank of what's interesting to me, where does my mind like to go? And yeah, like I said, I was at work and I was like, why does time seem to fluctuate in the speed that it goes, all depending on like emotional states or depending on what you're doing. And so then I hurried up and I put it down on my phone real quick, and I was like, okay, that's one that I'm gonna have to like look into and research and like think about. On that note though, I do think this is going to be just a little bit of a shorter episode, but overall though, I think it's been good. I think it's been nice, especially doing like a video like this. Nothing crazy, but I got some better lighting to try this out, and for whatever reason I like to have things very nice before anything. So blessing and a curse. It has held me off from doing a lot of this stuff for many years at this point. So once again though, thank you guys for listening. If you guys did make it all the way through to the end, hopefully you guys enjoyed these couple things of me talking through. I know they have nothing to do with each other, but two very interesting things in my mind. One being the concept that I like came up with, or at least I don't even know if I probably didn't even come up with it. Someone else probably did, but something that I've never heard of with the 3D printing of alloys with electrical systems throughout. Something that I have not heard of before. And I thought it would be a great talking point. So thank you guys. Really means a lot to me. And of course, I'll be doing one of these every single week. Coming out, my plan is to be every single one to come out at 9 a.m. on Tuesday of each week. So thank you.